Discover the amazing 1-hour billionaire visualization that reveals hidden secrets for life-changing success. Jake Carter crushed the hood of the rusty old Chevy with deep breaths. The smell of motor oil and sweat clung to him, as he wiped his brow and looked out at the heart of his Midwestern town. The annual fair was right around the corner. Lights, laughter, and the rich aroma of homemade pies filled the air. Community spirit pulsed through the streets, but for Jake, it all felt like a bittersweet reminder of dreams fading into the background, just like the faded engine parts he worked on daily. At 35, Jake was the epitome of the American struggle, working tirelessly as a mechanic while raising spirited Emma on his own. She was his sunbeam, with laughter that could lighten the darkest days. But looking at all his former classmates at the fair, flaunting their success and wealth, sharp pangs of sorrow gnawed at him. With hands that could repair anything but his dreams, he felt as if he'd traded ambition for survival. "Look, Daddy!" Emma squealed, her eyes wide as she spotted a clown down the street. His heart swelled with love, but doubt loomed. Could he give her anything more than this life? The fair, with its musical attractions and vibrant stalls, felt hollow amidst the colorful chaos. He remembered when he and his buddies had dreams of bigger things, but those dreams had fallen away like autumn leaves scattered in the wind. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they walked through the fair, Jake met a local veteran named Dave, who wore his stories like patches on an old jacket. "Keep your head high, son," Dave said with a gentle smile, eyes harboring a lifetime of tales. Resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about getting up when you do. Something sparked inside Jake. Could he chase dreams and still protect the bond he had with Emma? The idea of starting a small repair business with Emma ignited a fire in him. With her enthusiastic hands by his side, they began fixing bikes, mending broken cars, engaging laugh-filled conversations with neighbors. Each challenge revealed the secret strength of community. They weren't just repairing vehicles, they were restoring connections that had frayed over time. But when a golden opportunity arose, a lucrative job in a city far away, doubt crept back in, whispering cruel thoughts. The weight of ambition twisted his heart, but losing sight of Emma's beaming face made every goal seem less shiny. An unexpected incident shattered Jake on the last day of the fair. Emma, holding a cotton candy, looked up at him, her big brown eyes reflecting innocence and heartbreak. "Daddy, is chasing dreams worth leaving those you love behind?" That question crashed into him like thunder, leaving his heart racing. Standing at the crossroads of ambition and duty, Jake faced the most significant decision of his life, one that could forge their future or unravel it entirely. As he stood with the fair's vibrant life buzzing around him, a storm brewed within. What would he choose? Jake felt the weight of that question pressing on his chest. Around him, the fair swirled with a cacophony of sounds, children laughing, music playing, and the sizzling of fried food. But all of it faded into a blur. He could only see Emma. Her soft cotton candy, nearly untouched, dangled from her small hands. "Daddy," she peered up at him, her eyes still shimmering with hope. "Are you thinking?" Taking a deep breath, Jake knelt to her level. "I want you to be happy, Emma. But sometimes, chasing a dream means making tough choices." He wished he could paint a rosy picture of what lay ahead, but the truth felt muddled, a storm cloud ready to burst. What would it mean to uproot her from everything familiar? At that moment, Emma's innocent gaze was piercing. "Remember when you said dreams help us grow?" She whispered, as if she were already an echo of wisdom beyond her years. Wasn't that what he always taught her? That chasing something worthwhile required risk. "Yeah, but dreams can be scary, too," Jake admitted softly, the truth hanging between them. "But wouldn't it be scarier if we never tried?" she countered. Her words struck a chord deep within him. He thought about the dreams he had once shared with his friends. They seemed impossibly distant now. It all came rushing back: the laughter, the ambition, the endless discussions about futures bright with possibility. Yet, life had steered him here, to a small town and a life defined by routine and unfulfilled aspirations. Jake's heart raced again. He felt torn. Could he take Emma away from her schoolmates, her friends at the fair, and the community they had cherished? Could he risk the little safety and comfort they had for the better life he could possibly provide? Let us talk to Dave, Jake suddenly decided, reflecting on the veteran's words. He took Emma's small hand and they wandered back through the crowd, looking for the friendly face of the man who had given him a glimpse of resilience. When they found Dave, he sat beneath the shade of an oak tree, basking in the warm glow of late afternoon sun. He smiled at Jake and Emma as they approached. "What's on your mind?" he asked knowingly, sensing Jake's internal struggle. "Dave, I got an offer. A big job, but it means moving. I don't know what to do," Jake confessed, brushing a hand through his hair, fighting the anxiety tightening his chest. "Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all," Dave replied, his tone steady and encouraging. "You have to weigh what's best for both of you, but don't let fear make the decision. You two can build something great, together." Jake looked at Emma, whose eyes sparkled with curiosity as she listened. Maybe there was truth in that. Maybe it wasn't about choosing dreams over family but blending them together. His heart began to settle as passion slowly replaced doubt. "Could we really do it, Dad? Chase a big dream and stay together?" Emma asked, hope sparkling in her voice. "Yeah, I think we could," Jake replied, feeling a flicker of excitement. The thought of starting anew didn't seem as daunting anymore. The fair's lights twinkled like stars, encouraging and inviting them into a world of possibilities. Jake realized he had gone from feeling trapped to sensing a horizon filled with color and promise. As they walked back into the heart of the fair, laughter ringing around them, Jake's heart swelled. But deep within, he knew the real journey was just beginning. How would he navigate a new city, a new world, and still hold on to the bond they shared? "Is it time to tell my friends about our plans?" Emma piped up, breaking through his revelry. Jake smiled, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "Maybe it is, kiddo. Maybe it is." Just then, the tantalizing scent of fried dough wafted by, reminding him that they were still very much anchored in their familiar life. Yet, with every step forward, the future shimmered ahead. What if they didn't just dream this time but chased it? Jake sharpened his resolve, knowing that whatever lay ahead required more than mere aspirations. It needed actual belief. He took a step into the crowd, Emma beside him, feeling stories of their journeys intertwining. But what lay ahead was uncharted territory, and Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was yet to come. As they made their way through the fairground, Jake felt Emma's excitement radiate from her like a warm glow. The laughter of children mingled with the joyful melodies that spiraled through the air. It was a stark reminder of everything they were about to leave behind, and yet, each step forward felt like a promising leap into the unknown. "Can we go on the Ferris wheel?" Emma asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Just one ride?" Jake replied, raising an eyebrow playfully. "You're sure you can handle that much adventure?" She giggled, her cotton candy bobbing slightly. "I can handle it. I'm brave, remember?" Jake chuckled, the sound easing some of the tension still wound tightly within him. "All right, brave girl. Let us do this." As they made their way to the Ferris wheel, Jake's heart swelled with pride. Emma was a fighter just like him. She had faced challenges with courage, and now she was ready to stand by his side as they tackled this new chapter together. The line for the ride moved quickly, and before long, they found themselves seated high above the fair, the world below turning into a landscape of lights and laughter. Emma squealed in delight as the wheel turned, and Jake couldn't help but smile at her sheer joy. "Do you see that?" she exclaimed, pointing to a cluster of friends near a game booth. "That's Mia and Sam. Look how they're having fun." His heart tightened again at the thought of Emma leaving her friends behind. "Yeah, I see them," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "They're having the time of their lives. What if we move and my new school is different? What if I can't make new friends?" Emma's voice dropped, the weight of uncertainty creeping in. Jake took a deep breath, wrestling with his own fears while trying to soothe hers. Sometimes, things feel scary before they can feel great. You might find new friends that are just as awesome as Mia and Sam. Remember, it's all part of the adventure. She nodded, her little brow furrowing in thought. "But what if I miss them?" "You can miss them and still embrace the new friends you'll make," he said, his heart aching. "You know what? I miss some of my friends from a long time ago, too. But life takes us on different paths. The important thing is to keep your heart open." As they reached the top of the Ferris wheel, the view was breathtaking. The fair stretched out before them, a kaleidoscope of color and sound, mixing with the fragrant aromas of popcorn and caramel. Jake felt a swell of hope. "This is amazing!" Emma shouted, her smile radiant against the backdrop of twinkling lights. At that moment, all the worries faded away. He could see the sparkle of possibility reflected in her eyes. That a sudden rush of determination filled him. He needed to be that beacon of hope for her, to teach her resilience, to show her that every ending was just a new beginning. He grabbed her hand, and together they shared a moment, hopeful and strong. But even as he felt buoyed by the view, an unsettling thought pressed against him. What if moving didn't just mean losing friends, but that they would also have to face something even tougher lurking in their new life? A challenge that might be bigger than just childhood friendships. As they slowly descended the Ferris wheel, Jake's mind spun with possibilities. Each turn brought them closer to the ground, but gave him no clarity. What awaited them on this new path? Was he truly ready for what might lie ahead? Today was just the beginning, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the real test of their courage was still waiting for them, just around the corner. As they reached the bottom of the Ferris wheel, the ground felt solid beneath them, but Jake's thoughts were anything but steady. Emma hopped off the ride, bouncing on her feet as if each jump could propel her into a bright new reality. He wished he could share her excitement, but the restlessness inside him continued to churn. "Let us get some funnel cake," Emma said, her voice bright and full of energy. "I want to have a big sugary treat before we leave." "Sure, that sounds good," Jake replied, forcing a grin to match her enthusiasm. He watched her run ahead, weaving through the crowd, and he felt a pang of anxiety. It was so easy for her to push aside worries, while he struggled to manage his. They stopped at a booth, where the sweet aroma enveloped them. Jake fished out a few crumpled bills from his pocket, and after Emma got her fluffy piece, he smiled as she took her first bite, her face lighting up with pure joy. "Yum! This is the best!" she exclaimed, sugary crumbs dotting her cheeks. He laughed, momentarily swept away by the sight. But then, as Emma devoured her treat, the thought of their impending move settled back in again. "Emma," he started, unsure of how to voice his concerns. She glanced up, her mouth full, bright blue eyes sparkling. "Yeah? Are you really okay about leaving? I mean, I know it's not easy to say goodbye to friends," he said quietly, trying to gauge her feelings. She paused, licking the sugar from her fingers. "I'll miss them for sure." Her voice faltered slightly, opening a window of honest emotion. "But I'm ready," she declared firmly. "I want to make new memories, too." Jake stared at her, admiring the bravery she exuded. Maybe it was the sugar rush, or maybe it was just inherent in her spirit. Still, he felt a surge of hope. They had faced challenges together, and here she was, looking toward the future. "All right, then," he said, a soft smile breaking through his worries. "Let us make some amazing memories." They wandered to more rides, and while Emma's laughter filled the air, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something big was looming ahead. As they stood in line for a carousel, he noticed a group of boys near the entrance, laughing a little too loudly, probably older than Emma. "What if they're mean?" Emma whispered, her eyes darting over to them. "Just be yourself, Em. You're amazing," and if they don't see that, it's their loss, he encouraged, wrapping an arm around her shoulder in reassurance. As they swung around on the carousel, head spinning from the motion and excitement, Jake felt a twinge in his gut. The carousel painted a whirl of colors: reds, blues, yellows and greens, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the oppressive sensation creeping in. The fairground was filled with laughter, sights, and delightful distractions, yet something deeper resonated as he gazed at the happy moments all around them. What if this new school had shadows hiding beneath its joyful facade? Just then, the carousel slowed, and as the music faded, so did his mind's distractions as he instinctively held Emma close, her laughter ringing in his ears. But while the day felt magical, the question gnawed at him: would the innocence of this day still reign when the reality of their move struck? As they stepped off the ride, the sun began to set, casting a rosy hue over the fair that seemed to illuminate their path. Smiling, Emma tugged on his hand. "Dad, what's next?" Jake paused, looking at her bright face, but in his heart, the fear only deepened. "Let us just enjoy tonight," he said softly, but as he looked into the distance, he couldn't shake the feeling that the roller coaster of next week awaited them, twisting through uncharted territory. "Is it going to be as fun as this?" she asked, unaware of the weight of his thoughts. He took a deep breath, forcing a smile. It'll be something else. His heart ached. Could they truly embrace whatever lay ahead? Would they be ready for what awaited them in their new life, or was there more to fear than just a new school? As the sky darkened and the fairground lights flickered into life, Jake was left wondering if this send-off would be the break they needed or the beginning of something far more complicated. Emma's eyes glimmered with excitement as the evening drew in. The fair was bustling, the sound of laughter blending with the melodies from nearby games. But as vibrancy encircled them, Jake's heart felt heavy, weighed down by unspoken worries. "How about we play some games next?" Emma suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. She tugged at his sleeve, urging him toward a booth where brightly colored plush toys hung from the ceiling. "I want that giant teddy bear." Jake smiled, knowing how much Emma loved soft toys. "All right, let us see if we can win it," he replied, feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe they could make some joyful moments tonight, set aside his worries at least for a while. They approached the game, and Jake fished for some quarters, scanning the options. "Which one do you want to try?" he asked, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "That one." Emma pointed eagerly at a ring toss game with glimmering prizes. They took their places, the lights flashing, the sound of laughter erupting from others competing. Jake set his quarters on the wooden counter and rolled his shoulders back, mentally preparing himself to focus. With every toss, Emma's anticipation grew. Miss. 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 Each failed attempt gnawed at Jake's hope, but he noticed the way Emma's determination never faded. She clutched the ring tightly, determination written across her face. "Just relax, Em. You've got this," he encouraged, trying to inject confidence into her veins. Then, as the last toss sailed through the air, there was a moment of silence. The ring landed perfectly, encircling the bottle. Emma squealed in delight, jumping up and down. "Did you see that? I did it." "Of course, you did. I knew you could." He laughed, genuinely overjoyed as the stall owner handed her the teddy bear. Emma hugged it tightly to her chest, her face lit up with triumph. But as she beamed, Jake felt that weight creep back in. The thrill of the win faded into the background noise. What if tomorrow ended this little bubble of happiness? What if the new town didn't welcome them as warmly? "Let's go on the Ferris wheel again," she suggested, pulling on his hand. "Okay, one more ride," Jake agreed, knowing he didn't want to break that joyous spirit. As they stepped onto the ride, he found comfort in the gentle swaying. Up they went, higher and higher, the fairground sprawling below them. From the top, everything seemed beautiful and far away like a living painting. The lights twinkled like stars, and for a moment, he was lost in the brightness of it all. "Look, Dad! It's so pretty!" Emma exclaimed, pointing at the silhouettes of people below, their shadows dancing in the warm evening glow. It really is. Jake nodded, his heart swelling, momentarily forgetting his fears. But just then, the ride stopped at the peak. Suddenly, the music faded, and a deep silence enveloped them. He turned to Emma, who was watching the lights with wide, captivated eyes. Something clicked in Jake's mind. "Emma," he started, his voice unsteady. "You know, starting fresh can be exciting, but it can also feel scary." She looked at him, frowning slightly. "Are you scared?" Jake met her curious gaze, holding her gaze as he searched for the right words. "Sometimes, yes. But I think it's okay to feel both excited and scared at the same time. Like a roller coaster?" she asked, her brows knitting together. "Exactly," he replied, the analogy pulling a smile from her lips. As they laughed together, Jake realized that maybe the roller coaster of their new life was just another ride to board. Maybe thrilling in its own way, full of ups and downs just like every memory they cherished, but as the ride continued, the looming thought remained. Would they find the highs, or would the lows weigh them down? The wheel began to descend, and with it came the twinge of reality. "Dad, what if we can't fit in?" Emma whispered, the brightness dimming in her eyes. Jake sighed, the acknowledgement hanging heavy between them. "We'll face it together, I promise." The moment felt fraught with uncertainty, yet within it, hope flickered. They came down from the ride, not just holding on to a teddy bear but clutching each other's understanding tightly. As they stepped back into the lively fair, Jake's heart raced. With each step, he felt both dread and anticipation. What awaited them in their new life? Jake thought about how their adventure was just beginning. "What's next, Dad?" Emma asked innocently, her voice cutting through his swirl of thoughts. "Whatever it is, we'll be all right," he promised, though the unsettling question loomed large in his mind. How did they prepare for the unknown? As the fair throbbed with laughter around them, a deeper truth lingered quietly. Would this be the night that ushered in change, or merely an end to their sweet escape? The night deepened, the fair's lights flickering like distant stars. Jake held Emma's hand, gripping it firmly as they navigated through the crowds. They passed game booths, rides, and food stands, the smells of popcorn and cotton candy wafting through the air like a comforting blanket. But amidst the laughter and joy, a storm brewed in his chest, whispering fears of the days ahead. "Can we get some cotton candy?" Emma asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. Jake nodded, ready to suppress his worries for a moment longer. "Sure." One big pink cloud coming right up. As they approached the stand, the vendor's laughter echoed, and the colorful sugar spun into a fluffy mass. He handed over the sugary treat and watched Emma's face light up with delight. "Thanks, Dad. This is the best," she chirped, taking a huge bite. Jake smiled, yet inside, his heart raced. Each giggle from Emma felt like a delicate note in a song he desperately hoped wouldn't end. "I'm glad you like it," he replied, forcing lightness into his tone. They moved toward a quieter corner of the fair, sitting on an edge of a low wall. The fair's chaos became a distant rhythm, and for a moment, it felt as if the world belonged only to them. "Dad, can I ask you something?" Emma's voice cut through the laughter, her excitement dimming slightly. "Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" She looked out at the twinkling lights, her brow furrowing thoughtfully. "What if we make friends at the new school, but then they don't want to be our friends anymore?" Jake's heart sank, recognizing her struggle, as he once sat in a classroom feeling like an outsider. "That's a real fear, Em. But you know what? Sometimes, friendships take time to grow. Everyone feels a little lost when they're new," he said gently. Emma frowned. "But what if they laugh at me, or think I'm weird?" Jake wrapped an arm around her, holding her close as if to shield her from the worries of the world. "Sometimes, people can surprise you. You have a beautiful heart, and that shines through. You'll find your people, and they'll love you for who you are." "Really?" She looked up at him, eyes wide and hopeful. "Really," he affirmed, his heart lifting just a bit. Emma smiled, her cheeks dimpled with joy. Okay. And if they're mean, we'll just play together, right? Jake chuckled, yes, and we'll always have each other, no matter what. Just then, the Ferris wheel lit up, and Jake's stomach dropped. That looming fear returned, a reminder of the past. But sometimes, it's hard, really hard. What if we don't fit in anywhere? Emma's voice was a whisper, barely rising above the fair noises. Jake ached at the thought stitched between them. I don't know, Emma. But I do know that we'll face it. I promise you, we'll hold on to our hope together. They watched families and friends laughing, the shadows dancing in the flickering lights of the rides. For every roar of laughter, Jake felt a flicker of optimism. Maybe they could carve out a place where they belonged. Wanna do one more ride before we head home? He asked, his voice steady. Yes. Let us go on the carousel. Please. Emma leaped to her feet, excitement bubbling over it. Jake stood up, too, a smaller smile creeping across his face. All right, lead the way. As they approached the carousel, the colorful horses bobbing up and down, Jake wrestled with his thoughts. Would they really find their place in this new town? Or was this adventure simply a beautiful distraction from something more daunting? Promise me something, Emma said suddenly, her small hand pulling on his sleeve. What's that? Promise to always believe in us, she said, looking up with hope. That he paused, feeling that tight knot in his heart loosen a little. I promise, he said, hoping he could hold on to that belief through all the uncertainty that lay ahead. But as they mounted their horses, the carousel began to spin. Jake couldn't shake the worry. What challenges awaited them beyond the bright lights and laughter? What moments would define their fresh start? As the music filled the air, a question hung heavy in Jake's mind: if they could conquer their fears together, what would they discover about themselves along the way? The carousel began to swirl around them, vibrant colors blending into a magical blur. Emma squealed with delight, her laughter ringing out like a bright bell against the soft strains of carnival music. She leaned forward on the galloping horse, her hair dancing in the cool night breeze. Jake couldn't help but smile, engaged in the moment. Yet, as each rotation renewed his temporarily lifted spirits, he felt the weight of the future lurking just beyond the melody. Look at me, Dad! Emma shouted, raising her arms in the air as she rode. To her pure joy, the world beneath seemed to vanish and the problems felt small, an oasis of childhood wonder. Hey, you're a pro! Jake cheered back, his voice filled with forced enthusiasm. But his mind wrestled with shadows. What if they truly didn't fit in? What if the fierce Emma voice today were merely the beginning? The thought pricked at him, dull and insistent, just like the unseen worries of bills piling up and jobs slipping through his fingers. As the ride slowed, the magical moment began to fade. Jake saw the joy on Emma's face, and he longed to chase the darkness away. Want to grab a bite to eat before we call it a night? He asked, hoping to sustain the happiness just a bit longer. Yes. Let us get a hot dog, she exclaimed, her eyes brightening. They meandered through the fair, weaving toward a warm food stall. The earthy scent of grilled onions and sizzling sausages enveloped them, a reminder of simpler times. Holding her hand tightly, he wished he could protect her from every worry since the world beyond this fair seemed so uncertain. As they waited in line, Jake couldn't shake a lingering thought. Hey, Em, he said, bending slightly to meet her eyes. What if we try to make the best out of our new school, no matter what? You can always tell me how you feel, okay? Emma crinkled her nose in thought. What if I don't know how to? Then we will figure it out together. No pressure, he reassured, his heart softening. With hot dogs in hand, they sat at a table slightly apart from the bustling crowd. As Emma took hearty bites, Jake watched her munch. A stirring sense of pride settled inside him. You know, sometimes things change. We might not have all the answers now. But that's part of growing up, he mused, hoping to cultivate resilience. I'm going to be brave, Dad, Emma declared, her small voice unwavering. And I'll make friends, if they don't think I'm weird. You're not weird, you're unique. Jake responded, hopeful that maybe this simple sentiment could become a shield for her. The moments passed, and once again, Emma's laughter echoed through the air, wiping away his lingering worries like a gentle breeze. But deep down, a gnawing anxiety was starting to rise within him, the denial he'd created around their past choices, and the unknown future that loomed over them. Dad, Emma's voice broke into his thoughts, pulling him back. What if one of my friends doesn't like my favorite things? Jake smiled, browsing for a comforting response. Then we'll teach them why you love them. You love unicorns and rainbows, right? Like that glittering prize over there. He pointed at a massive unicorn stuffed animal, sparkling under the fair lights. Emma's eyes brightened again. Can we try to win that next? I promise, we'll give it our best shot, he said, feeling a wave of determination wash over him. After their meal, they made their way to the game booth. Jake's heart beat faster, not just from nerves but the shared excitement he felt alongside Emma. As they waited for their turn, he silently prepared himself. What if this ride ended just as fast, leaving them with nothing more than memories of fleeting joy? Hey, Dad. Emma's hand tugged at his sleeve, her voice now soft but strong. No matter what happens, do you think we can make it? Like really, truly? His chest tightened at her question, the burden of uncertainty weighing heavy. We can. As long as we stick together, he said, forcing his conviction to the surface. But deep down, a part of him wondered how long could they really hold on to this light. What if the darkness closed in again before they were ready to face it? As they played the game, laughter blossomed in the air around them like firework sparks. But beyond the joy, Jake felt the encroaching shadows of what lay ahead. What awaited were trials that could shift everything once again. With one final toss of the ring, Jake hoped for more than just a unicorn. Could they secure their place in this world, or would this night become just another fleeting memory? And as Emma squealed, reaching for the stuffed creature, he felt a tinge of fear twist within him. Did he have what it took to navigate the tide of change, or would the storm gain strength, sweeping everything they built away? As Jake tirelessly threw the last ring, a glimmer of hope shone in his heart. The ring landed perfectly on the gracefully sculpted unicorn's horn. Emma's eyes widened, a burst of joy evident in her small frame. Dad! Did we really win? Yes. We did it. He couldn't hide the excitement in his voice anymore. He felt a wave of relief wash over him. In that moment, everything outside that booth, the worries, the anxiety, seemed to evaporate. The carnival lights flickered above like 1,000 stars, and for a few moments, Jake and Emma were wrapped in a bubble of perfect happiness. The booth attendant handed over the giant unicorn, its vibrant colors reflecting Emma's delight back at her. As they walked away, Emma squeezed her prize tightly, her small arms struggling to hug the plush toy. Can we take her home? I want her to meet my room, she exclaimed. Of course. She'll fit right in with all your other friends, he replied, chuckling at her enthusiasm. But deep down, Jake felt a tinge of fear creeping back in. What if this high was just temporary? They maneuvered through the crowd, the fair bustling with laughter and music, but his mind wandered to darker thoughts. The festival was a promise, a vision of life filled with joy, yet he felt reality waiting patiently, ready to pounce. Dad! Emma's voice tinkled through his fears. Yeah, Em. Can we go on the Ferris wheel next? Please? Jake hesitated. Heights weren't his strong suit, but the longing in her eyes pulled at something deep within him. Sure, he said, trying to sound excited. As they made their way closer, he felt his stomach twist. They climbed into a car, and as they ascended, the view opened up, revealing the entire fairground sparkled in the night. Emma gasped, her eyes shimmering, and he couldn't help but mirror her wonder for a moment. Look at all the lights, Dad. It's like magic. Her voice rang out, filled with pure glee. She waved at a few kids below, and Jake watched, a smile stretching across his face despite the gnawing anxiety that prevailed. But as they reached the top, the vibrant colors of the fair were overshadowed by a sudden unease. The height felt intimidating, the ground below too far away. He took a deep breath and glanced at Emma, who was bouncing in her seat, her laughter ringing true against the night air. "And you're going to be brave no matter what. Remember," he murmured softly, encouraging both her and himself. They shared a moment, her innocence grounding him for just a heartbeat longer. But then, Emma sighed, her excitement fading slightly. "Dad, what if we don't find our friends at school? What if no one wants to play with me?" The question hung in the air like a weight he couldn't shake off. "You'll make friends, sweetheart. I believe it," he said, determined to inject confidence into his voice, even as his stomach churned with doubt. But somehow, he knew her heart held more power than he realized. They began the descent, and panic suddenly whirled within him. "We'll be okay," he told her, but it felt as though he was trying to convince himself more than anything. After they stepped off, the fair seemed to pulse with a different energy. It was like moving in and out of a dream. The unicorn swayed in Emma's arms, and her excitement surged back. "Let us go find more games, Dad. I want to win something else." Each blast of her enthusiasm sent sparks of hope and worry swirling within him. Could they truly find a life here, amidst the uncertainty? Or would they continuously chase these fleeting moments? In that space, he caught something in the reflections of her eyes, shining bright with innocence and hope. "All right, let us find the next game," he agreed, even as doubts danced at the back of his mind. As they walked, Jake felt the pressure around him grow heavier. It was a buzzing anxiety he couldn't ignore anymore. He could guide Emma, teach her resilience, but could he truly be the father she needed? As life became turbulent, a whisper of the future tugged at him, and he felt a striking realization hitting him. A shifting wave of uncertainty could break any moment. Of joy. Did their journey start tonight in this carnival, or had it merely begun down a much darker path? And while Emma chattered happily about their next adventure, he couldn't shake off the possibility that this night would unravel into something either magical or nightmarish. Was he ready for either? The laughter of other children echoed around them, but to Jake, it felt like a distant melody. Emma was already pulling him toward the next game booth, her small hand wrapped around his like a vibrant thread connecting him to her world of innocence. "Dad! Come on!" she exclaimed, her voice painting a canvas of excitement. As they approached more booths, the colorful lights blinked with an energy that was infectious, but Jake felt his heart beat wildly, thrumming against his ribcage like a caged bird seeking freedom. He tried to focus on Emma, whose face glowed with unrestrained joy. Each smile from her felt like a small victory, pulling him farther away from his unsettled thoughts. "Look at that one." Emma pointed at a booth filled with stuffed animals. "Can we try it? Please?" "Sure, love," he said, swallowing his doubts. They walked over, and as they did, Jake's thoughts almost spun out of control. Each game, each plush toy, felt like a test of their newfound stability. Could they really have fun? Could they really escape the shadows waiting to pounce? The attendant at the booth flashed a smile, his eyes sparkling with the carnival spirit. "Step right up. Knock down the cans, win a prize," he cried out, making the game sound as easy as breathing. Jake tightened his grip on the coin, feeling its weight in his palm. Money was tight, and every quarter seemed to slip through his fingers like sand. "Watch me, Dad!" Emma shouted as she grabbed a small ball with both hands, her confidence radiating off her every move. "Go for it," he encouraged, trying to sound bold. She took a deep breath, her small body lined up with the cans, and with a swift motion, she hurled the ball. The cans tipped over, tumbling like dominoes, and her joyful squeal rang out. "I did it. I won." Jake's heart soared with her, his internal storm calming for just a moment. But as she leaped into his arms, the weight of it all pressed down once more. What did winning mean if they couldn't find their place in this new world? Could a stuffed toy erase the bigger sorrows lurking in the corners of their lives? "Look, Dad! A puppy!" Emma exclaimed as the attendant handed her a soft, fluffy dog. The way she clutched it, her eyes sparkling wide, made him want to bottle that happiness forever. Can we take him home too? Jake laughed, a sound that felt foreign after all the worry. Just one price, he reminded her gently. Okay. But he'll be best friends with the unicorn. She cradled the puppy against her chest, her world wrapped in cotton candy dreams, and for a moment, Jake felt a wave of optimism wash over him. Maybe, just maybe, this night could lead to light breaking through the shadows. But then the heavy weight of reality crashed back in, and he gripped the little puppy tightly too, as if its plushness could anchor him to the present. Let us keep moving, but I need you to promise me something, he said softly. What? She asked, her innocence laced with curiosity. Promise me you'll always talk to me when you feel scared or lonely, okay? No matter what. Emma nodded, serious for a moment. Okay, Dad. I promise. With those words, a thin thread of reassurance intertwined between them. But as they continued through the carnival, Jake couldn't shake the unsettling thought, what if this was just the calm before an inevitable storm? As they turned the corner, the laughter from nearby booths was interrupted by a sudden loud bang of firework bursting in the sky, lighting it up momentarily. But the jubilance turned to chaos as people screamed and ran in different directions. Jake's mind raced. Was this what the universe had in store for him? Did they just escape the darkness only to face it again so soon? Emma clutched her puppy tightly, her eyes reflecting both fear and wonder. Dad, what's happening? He bent down to her level, heart pounding. Stay close to me, Em. No matter what, I'll keep you safe. But as the crowd surged around them, chaos reigning like a puppet master, Jake wondered, was he strong enough to withstand the storm? Would he always be able to protect her from whatever shadows loomed just beyond their magic carnival night? In that moment, he knew their adventure was far from over. And as they moved away from the spectacle, one question resonated, a single whisper of dread in his heart. Could they find their way back to joy, or was darkness waiting to unveil its true face? The crowd thinned as the fireworks faded, leaving behind whispers of anxiety and snippets of laughter that still filtered through the air. Jake's protective instincts kicked in. He grasped Emma's hand tightly, weaving through the remnants of chaos to find safety. Her small fingers wrapped around his reassured him, but his heart raced with uncertainty. Let us find somewhere quiet, he said, leading her away from the swirling mass of startled voices and uncertain hearts. They ventured toward the edge of the fair, where the cacophony of sound dulled. Are you scared, Dad? Emma asked, her voice quiet yet resilient. Not scared, honey. Just worried, he admitted. But as long as we stick together, we can face anything. The night sky glimmered above them, but it felt heavy with unspoken fears. Jake breathed in deeply, trying to still the tide of worry rising within him. He turned to Emma, who gazed up at him with innocent understanding. I'm brave too, she declared, surprising him with a proud smile. Yes, you are, and that courage will carry us through, he said, his heart swelling with warmth. But as they settled into a less frenzied area, the once bright atmosphere of the fair felt muted. Each laughter felt like a distant echo of what once was. They perched on the edge of a low wall, the glow of colorful lights illuminating their faces while shadows threatened to creep back into their lives. Do you remember when you said we could make memories, wherever we go? Emma asked, leaning closer. Yes, Jake replied, recalling the essence of that moment. And those memories are what we can hold on to, even when things get tough. She nodded, her mind a constellation of thoughts that seemed to dance across her face. I want to make lots of memories. Even new ones. It was a glimmer of hope. Her determination stoked his flickering spirits. Then let us make those memories tonight, he said with vigor. Can we go on the Ferris wheel one last time? I love how it feels like flying. Jake's heart lightened at her enthusiasm. All right, one last ride. With her laughter resonating with renewed vigor, they made their way back to the Ferris wheel. Once again, they settled into the car, and as it began to ascend, Jake's worries faded into the background. The view unfolded before them like an artist's palette, a kaleidoscope of colors dancing in the night. I can see everything. Emma squealed, eyes sparkling brighter than the twinkling lights below. That's right. Jake laughed, pulled into her joy as they rose higher. At the top, the world stretched wide, limitless, and full of opportunity. But within the enchantment, a lasting flicker of doubt whispered. What awaited them when they fully landed, beyond the safety of this high perch? Jake glanced at Emma beside him, a whirlwind of dreams and innocence. Maybe that was the point. Each spin, each ascent and descent shaped their future. He began, the words flowing effortlessly. This feels good, doesn't it? It's like, even as we look down on everything, we can still embrace every high moment together. Yeah. She exclaimed, her face beaming. I want to remember this forever. As they descended, the quiet of their reflections mingled with the lingering thrill of the ride. They stepped off, hearts racing, souls intertwined, feeling that every challenge they faced could create something special. Watching Emma hug her unicorn and puppy tightly, Jake felt a warmth, a sense of belonging despite the unknown. She was his light, his proof that dreams were still worth chasing. They could rebuild, and it didn't matter where that journey led, as long as they faced it together. Thank you for being my adventure buddy, Jake said, kneeling next to her as they walked. You're the best adventure dad. She replied, her laughter spilling into the night, and in that moment, Jake felt like he could conquer any storm. As the fair flashed around them like the excitement of life, he realized that whatever awaited them in that new town would not define them. They were crafting a story filled with resilience, love, and learning to embrace both joy and fear. Together, the night buzzed with possibilities, and Jake finally believed that they could face what lay ahead. They left the grounds of the fair, holding hands and hearts awakened, ready for the next chapter. Let us go home and get some sleep, Jake said, tugging her along. Tomorrow can be another adventure. She shouted, skipping ahead. Yes, it can. He agreed, his heart filled with gratitude for the journey they embarked on together. Fear turned to acceptance, and dreams reignited within one simple carnival night. Can we sleep with our stuffed friends? Emma's voice piped up from ahead. Absolutely. Jake laughed, and in that harmony of laughter, their shared journey carried on, unstoppable and boundless. And as they left the vibrant festival behind, the real adventure had just begun. Don't hold back. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make an impact. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending because we want to hear from you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. The power lies with true fans like you.